This is Morten from INKISH TV, and I have the honor to welcome a very nice young lady, Julie. She is the winner of the VIGC Hackathon, and last week I had the honor of being a judge in a competition between 12 very skilled projects, and I have the honor to talk to Julie, who is the winner of the hackathon. Julie, are you still excited and thrilled about your award from last week?
Yes, definitely. I'm super excited. I didn't see it coming at all. So yeah, I enjoyed the weekend. I still celebrated from the hackathon. I'm still enjoying it, and I will try to keep riding the wave of the hackathon actually.
Before we talk about the hackathon and your project, can you just give us a little bit insight who you are?
Definitely. So I'm Julie. I'm indeed pretty young. I'm 24 years old. I just graduated from a business school, and instead of going to work, I decided to start working on a business plan to create my own startup. So everything is still very new and exciting to me. And next to that, I'm living in the small West Flanders, but for now I'm in Brussels.
Fantastic. So coming directly out of a business school and taking the challenge of being a startup, I think a lot of people who today work as entrepreneurs, it's like a big step, right? No security, all the risk can taken, but also the potential reward. So what drives you?
I worked actually 1 year before I went to business school, but then it was the Corona year, so it went a great year to start working. It was the first pandemic, and already while working, I knew I can do more and I have way more energy than just going to work in a standard office job. I can do more, I can be my own boss, and I can work more hours because I have a lot of energy and I want to do what I want to do. And I just was like, okay, maybe I can already start something in freelancing. So I started doing freelance marketing already. But then it was COVID, and then I decided to do another business, a year of business school, really to prepare myself more on an entrepreneurial journey, because I did actually master in innovation and entrepreneurship, which really lay also the groundworks, but also I met all the right people who helped motivate me to take the step. And indeed, it's a bit of a risk for now, starting a job, still bootstrapping, so still no money. You don't have a big bank to fall back on, but it's now the time to take the risk. I don't have a family yet. You don't have a house you need to pay off. So it's actually now or never. I can still go work in the future if it doesn't work out, but I think for now it's the ideal step to take.
So graduating from a business school, if you look at your fellow students, did you see them also as being founded to be startups and entrepreneurs, or are you one of you?
From my year, I'm actually the first one who immediately after school started full time. But there are a lot of people who are already starting next to their jobs, so as a freelance basis. But I'm definitely sure it lays the groundworks, and if it's not to be an entrepreneur, it's to be it's not to be an entrepreneur, it's to be an intrapreneur in a company. And I'm sure if you go to business school, it's not basically on what you learn, but it's the mentality and the motivation you get there, and you learn to work hard in basically everything you do. So I think that's a great motivation to do business school. But I'm definitely the only one who immediately dropped everything and says, I'm going to start my own startup full time. Fuck the rest.
Yeah, but it's fantastic, and the reason why I find it so interesting is because, as I told you, I'm out of Denmark, and unfortunately in Denmark, it's the lowest number of startups in Europe is from Denmark, and sometimes it's because people do seek the security, maybe the higher salaries, maybe job security and all those kind of things. So when you look at your I mean, I can tell you, and I'm not sure if you know about it, but you were a darling from a lot of the judges at the hackathon because you have this really energy. And one of the things that you also did that not so many of the others did was also that you invited some of the individuals to your team to, I take you did it because you wanted to have more inputs on a business idea, right?
Yeah, indeed. I started doing this alone. So I'm a solo founder at this moment. And the hackathon was just a great way to meet people from over all of Europe and to combine all their unique strengths, their individual characteristics that make them great in the industry, and combine them to one business idea. For example, we had Merke from Estonia in our team, and she's a graphic designer in the packaging and labeling industry.
Oh, so she has first-hand knowledge, right?
First-hand knowledge. So why wouldn't you take some internationals in your team? And she did great. She was awesome. Then Dries from Connix and the Connix team helped us out as well. Then I had some individuals that I was like, there's a big hackathon coming, wouldn't you like to join me? To create like this product video, to create a bit more of the software and to help brainstorming about idea. It's really, I think, doing a startup, especially if you're a solo founder, like you don't need to think you're in it alone. A lot of people are there to help you. You just need to reach out and just need to dare to say, hi, I'm Julie, can you please help me? And I think a lot of people would be surprised how many people would actually want to help you just because they want to help you.
It's funny that you mentioned it. I gave a speech at a conference in the UK some months ago, and I actually found a quote from Steve Jobs, a film. So it was not just somebody who's invented it, it was an actual quote. And he said, I've never reached out to anybody for help who said no to me. And I think that is more or less what you're saying, that if people don't ask for help, you will not get help. But if you ask for help, you often get it, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of people my age say also, how do you get like with the big CEOs of companies, like you talk with so many of them and not for sales, it's still just making the business plan just to reach out and to talk how they do it if they have any advice. And I'm like, yeah, you would be surprised, like just send them a message on LinkedIn. Don't try to be too formal. I always say I hate formal messages. Yes, I know, like it's someone with a lot of experience and he's a lot older, but if you just like even put a smiley behind it and say, hey, I'm Julie, I really love your work, I want to start my business on my own, but I'm still very new to it, can we have like 15 minutes to chat and give me some advice? And I also like, I think out of 100%, 90% said yes, and the other 10% said, now I don't have a time, reach out to me back in a few months.
The hackathon, for those who don't know, the hackathon is a model where you, in a very short time, kind of nursery an idea, basically, right? How prepared were you before the hackathon about Opinry that we're going to talk about? I mean, was it totally fresh, or have you thought about it for some time?
The packaging aspect was totally fresh, and the AI aspect was totally fresh as well. But the original business plan I had in mind was from everything design. So not only packaging and labeling, but also brandings, even product videos, like everything branding which comes into contact with designing. Like how can you optimize those designs based on different target groups? And then we are working with a panel to see which things are in common for different target groups, which opinions are different, but everything branding related. So now it was more of a challenge, like how can we optimize that more for the hackathon, specifically on packaging and labeling, and how can we use more advanced technology to do that?
So let's dive a little bit into it, because Opinry, which is the name of your company, right, and product as well, you identified a problem, and you also in your presentation give an example how bad it can go. You picked an example from a juice company and came with some stunning numbers of lost business opportunities based on wrong designs. Can you tell a little bit? I mean, how did you get the idea, and what is the idea?
Yes. So the idea that I mentioned in the hackathon for my pitch was actually an example of Tropicana. So they changed their orange juice. They did a rebranding of the packaging, and they lost $50 million in sales with it. So
only.
So it's a lot. And that's like not only the rebranding costs, the advertising costs for the rebranding, but also just all the new packaging you want to sell, you make it, you produce it, but nobody wants to buy it because it doesn't look as good as the previous one. And they don't trust the brand message it gives. It looked cheaper instead of, the quality looked less just by making one packaging design fail. But that was something I had already noticed in my own experience. So like I said, I worked already 1 year, and it was in a marketing company, and we made a lot of designs for our customers. And what happened? Yeah, you give 3 beautiful designs. We give them the option to choose, but the client always said like, yeah, but I don't know, I like them all. Which one is best? And I think a lot of companies, if they work with freelancers, if they have different options to choose from, they always ask like, what do you like? Like, let's just go around our table and decide what you like. But it's not what you like as a company. It's not what you like as employees. It's what will work best for your customers to sell your product or to create more awareness, or what the goal of your design is.
Yeah.
So that's something, a real gap in the market, I thought.
But probably you're hitting a very important topic, because, I mean, why do brands use sometimes very expensive design agents? It's probably because they also buy some kind of security that they know what works in the market, right?
Yes, they have it, of course, based on their experience. We have also, based on the experience, you know what will work with the kind of client. But experience is still subjective. Everyone has his own experience, his own breaks and fails, and based on that you will make a new design. But I think that's still so subjective in such a data world. We are now living off the data. Everybody needs data. All companies use data for so much things. But for designs, it's still based on experience and based on gut feeling. Yeah, and taste. So it's just like you would advertise. Back in the day when there were just, you need to make a big poster, and you say, oh, I think that will work because of my previous poster won't work. But if you combine like millions of posters and can analyze that, then you will know, okay, I will definitely know this poster will work.
One of the things that it was one of my concerns when I was judging your project. I must be very fair with you. I didn't vote it very high, not because I thought it was a bad idea or bad project, but it was because one of the things that are that I spend a lot of time thinking about is disruption versus innovation, and when you have sequential things, because it's an old saying, but if you asked before the car was made by Henry Ford and you asked people what they want, you would get a horse carriage with 4 horses, right? And I was a little bit afraid that if it turns too much into case studies using AI and people in panel debates, you might have a lot of conservatism in, and maybe it works very fine for products and you do your iterations very slowly. Is that something that you have been thinking about as well?
Yes, and that's also why I wanted to go more to packaging and labeling and not just the whole branding experience. Because packaging and labeling can be more scientifically approached, but other branding aspects, for example, making a new logo, creating a whole new campaign, still needs that creativity side of things.
Okay, I'm very happy that you say that, because that strengthen. I think it strengthens your message, and it strengthens also your opportunity in the market. And you probably already know that, but I mean, the packaging market is still one of the fastest growing segments of the printing industry. So anything that can help brand owners, also because if you look at packaging and labels, I think that you see more and more private labels, you see more and more short run labels, or packaging, and you see more and more products that are made in small batches rather than these huge industrial batches, right? So I think that your product and idea is really good. Julie, one thing is winning a hackathon, and I think that for the people again who don't know, you won €2,000, but you want something that I think might also appeal more to you, and that is the mentorship with and the counseling you get from SAPI, right? How are you planning to take advantage of that?
I already got a message from them this week on Monday. To ask just for a few pictures and for the video, because they will already distribute it in the company. and they would get in contact with me later this week, because Monday it was a holiday, of course. But how I'm planning to approach it, I'm gonna take if they give me a finger, I'll take a hand, or how do you say it?
Yeah, I
I will ask.
understand.
Yeah, I only have the access to them officially, of course, only for a limited period of time. So I think it's really important, again, that it comes from my side as well. They give me advice, they give me mentorship. So I think it's also our job as Opinry to go to them and ask the right questions. If I need help, that I don't wait until there's an appointment or such as thing. I think it's really important I just go ask questions, help them in reverse. If they have questions of working with a startup, working with a whole new equipe of a young team of Opinry, I think it's just a match of vice versa. I give them, they give to me, and just taking as much out of it as you can get. Because everybody who does the competition, I think mentorship is way more important than the 2,000 euros. 2,000 euros, that's basically poof, and it's gone in advertising or something. So,
Yeah,
but the
precisely.
mentorship is worth so much. That's like free advice. It gives you opportunities. It can give you new sales. It can give you all the insights to go, like, instead of 2,000 euros in a month, it can give you advice that lasts years.
For you, I don't think it's bad that it's a savvy and a paper substrate company that is giving the mentor thing, right?
No, I think it's great. I really lucked out of this. Yeah, it's so good. I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to start the journey with them.
You seem to be an extremely well-founded and focused young woman. How difficult do you think it will be to bring from idea to the market? How do you think about that?
I think it's. I've already thought about that, because indeed I'm very focused, but I can't do it all. I'm definitely still looking for team members, for co-founders,
Financing?
and also financing as well. But I learned from a lot of courses and a lot of finance companies, like, make first you have your first 5 clients first, like you have your first revenue before you start looking for a big chunk of finance. So that's what I want to do. But how, like, my idea of the hackathon was really big. So it's really it won't be something that is ready in a year of time. But I think we need to see, like, what can we do of the big hackathon idea to make it smaller, to make an MVP, and just take it step by step. Like, what are the first things we can already make fast and start getting our first revenue from? In the meanwhile, looking at the more advanced AI options we put in there, and just take it step by step. It won't be easy, but I think everything that's worth a while isn't easy. And I think if you are a starting entrepreneur and you like easy, I don't think you're really an entrepreneur at all. I think we get a bit of excitement from the risk and a bit of excitement because you don't really know what's going to happen. And that's one of the beautiful things of it.